Okay, so this is a super easy lesson for talking about credit cards to start with. We're talking about how the interest works on a credit card and how you're charged interest, because it works a little bit differently than a loan. Because again, something we'll talk about in our last lesson is that credit cards have a revolving balance. You can keep putting money on them and paying it back, put money on it and paying it back, so forth and so on. You don't do that with a loan. With a loan, you just take out the money once and then you pay it off. And you're not like taking out more money over time. So credit cards, the way the interest works is very different than for a loan. And so for right now, though, we're just looking at a snippet of it, so it's going to be pretty simple for this 5.3a. So let's talk about first how, again, because you pay your bill monthly, how the interest is going to work for just that month. Because you have an APR, right? It says credit card companies issue a monthly statement. Therefore, APR, annual percentage rate, must be converted to a monthly percentage rate because that's how you pay your bill, monthly. If the APR is 21.6%, what is the monthly interest rate? Now, this is actually a very easy question. A, once again, stands for annual. There's nothing surprising about this. There's nothing tricky. What we're going to do is take this annual rate and get it to a month. How do we normally go from a yearly amount to a monthly amount? What do we normally do? Divide by 12, right? I'm going from a year down to a month, so I should be dividing, and I'm dividing by 12 because there are 12 months in a year. Again, that's the only reason why it's 12, because it's monthly. Don't get stuck on that. If it was annual to daily, we divide by 365, right? That's how many of them are in a year. That's literally all we have to do. 21.6 divided by 12. You do not, this is the one time, you do not have to divide this by 100. If you do, I'll still give it to you. But the reason why is we want the monthly interest rate. We're not going to do anything with it yet. So if they are just asking for the monthly interest rate, we're not going to use it. We just want to know what it is. Happens to be 1.8%. So we can leave it like that. Again, if you put 0.018, that's fine. But for this problem, because that's our answer, we don't have to divide by 100. If we were to use it in the calculator, yes, we would. That's actually going to be the next question. So again, when you are trying to deal with the interest on a credit card, you have to take the APR and divide it by 12 first. So an example 2, let's take this a step further. Does Rebecca pay the finance charge on her average daily balance? We're going to talk about that later, of $1,441.60. Her annual percentage rate is 18%. What is her finance charge? So there is, again, a formula for this. Finance charge for this billing cycle. Now be careful here. If you want to write on your formula sheet, I always mean to write this, but this is for credit cards. This formula in particular is only finance charge for credit cards. If the question is not talking about a credit card, you wouldn't use this formula. There's another one up here that says total finance charge. That's for a loan, right? So this formula up here is for interest on a loan. This formula is for interest on a credit card. So be very careful. Again, if you want to make a note to yourself there, this is for loans. This is for credit cards. So I'm going to go ahead and copy, I'm going to go ahead and copy that over. Average daily balance times, they call it the monthly periodic rate on the formula sheet, I believe. It means the exact same thing as monthly interest rate. Monthly periodic, I think is what it says. Yeah. Periodic. There we go. Again, this is the monthly interest rate. So with that in mind, let's look at what we have. Well, we've got the average daily balance. It says it right there. What is it? Okay, again, we just want to make sure we're looking back at the problem. Here's our average daily balance, $1,441.60. You are charged interest based off of that average daily balance. Again, we're going to come back to talking about that and how that even works in our last lesson. But now we need the monthly periodic rate, and we have the annual. So once again, how am I going to get this to be monthly? divided by 12, right? 18 divided by 12 to get to the monthly. Let's see what we get. 18 divided by 12, 1.5%. Now here's where you got to be careful. This is still a percent because 18 is the percent. Now that we are going to multiply with this number, now we do need to divide this by 100. So you could have done it first. You could have done 18 divided by 100 and then divided by 12. Either way, you should have ended up at 0.015. Again, the difference here is that we are now using our percentage to multiply. So we do need to divide it by 100. So once more, we divided by 12 to get to the monthly rate, and then we divided by 100 to get our rate to be a decimal. So let's take this to the calculator. This is going to be how much interest you are charged in the month. So 21.62. Not totally terrible, right? Again, we tend to think of credit cards as being super evil, but really, when we see these super high interest rates, that's because that's the whole year, right? If we're looking at a month, it really isn't as bad. We're going to learn later still about why, even though the interest is not as terrible as you might think, it can get bad if you do a certain thing. We're going to talk more about that later. So again, average daily balance times the monthly rate. Make sure you divide by 12 and by 100 to get that. Go ahead and try it one more time. It's going to be the exact same thing. Average daily balance times the monthly rate as a decimal. Go ahead and try it. Okay, so the average daily balance is 820.10. This 18.5, I need to divide that by 12 first or second. Again, I could divide by 100 first. In fact, actually, I'll just show that just so you can see it's going to come out to the same thing. So if I divide by 100, this will get me to 0.185, and then I can divide by 12. We should get 0.015. We can go ahead and bring it to there. You could go 154. Again, you're rounding off a little bit here, but that's okay. If you put 154, that's fine. So 820.10 times 0.015, we get $12.30. So that means that's how much interest you're charged in a month. Again, we're going to look next at looking at a credit card statement, and you'll see where the interest is on that. You'll see all the information you have. They don't really hide anything from you. They tell you, hey, this is your interest rate. This is the interest you have to pay this month, so forth and so on, yeah? But this lesson, hopefully, super little snippet. We really break down credit cards into 4 different lessons because there's so many little things that they're very different than loans.